Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the segment on the 34th Hadith of Arba'in and Nawawi. I'll read the matan first and translation, followed by our discussion. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. An Abu Saeed al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيروا بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان رواه Muslim. On the authority of Abu Saeed al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, who said, I heard the Messenger of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, whoever of you sees an evil must then change it with his hand. If he is not able to do so, then he must change it with his tongue. And if he is not able to do so, then he must change it with his heart. And that is the slightest effect of faith, recorded by Muslim. Aw kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam. Some general comments on this hadith before we start our discussion. It is a very important hadith with respect to the well-being of Muslim community. It's a very important command that if we follow, then it is related to the well-being of the community. Otherwise, it will not be a blessed community and it will not succeed. Eradicating evil is a characteristic that distinguishes the Muslim community from others. So it is a specifically very important characteristic of the Muslim community. They have to do it. It exemplifies a Muslim's behavior towards evil. He will not accept it and be pleased while evil is going on uninterrupted. So this is the characteristic of every Muslim, that he hates evil. So he cannot be pleased with the situation where the evil is going on. The hadith is very important in today's situation, especially where unfortunately many of us have adopted the extremes, and Ummah has lost in general its balance. So we go to the extremes and do not follow the balanced approach that is available in the seerah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have to refer back to the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and find the examples there that how to apply a particular hukum. And all the fiqh about Amr bil Maruf or Nahi anil Munkar has to be derived from the examples of the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his pious followers. So that is the thing that we need to be very careful in understanding the fiqh of Nahi anil Munkar that we are going to discuss in this hadith, that Allah has not burdened us with something which is beyond our capability. And then again, we have to analyze the situation, and in various situations, the application of this command will be different. So I would request everybody to be very careful, because it is something that is very current, and it is going to be very practical if we understand the application of this hadith and the fiqh behind it. So we will not be exceeding the limits. We will not be going to the extremes. We are Ummatul Wast, and one of the interpretation is that it's a balanced ummah. It doesn't go to the extremes. So keeping that in mind, we will go through the matan of the hadith, taking it part by part and try to understand it. Whoever sees an evil. So this is where the hadith starts. If there is an open and clear evil, then it is obligatory upon Muslims to change it if they have the ability to do so. Otherwise, strive to get that ability. So don't act to remove an evil, as I said, that Allah is merciful. He's not burdening you to do something that you're not capable of. But there should be an attitude of Muslim and Muslim community in general to get to that position of authority and power. So there is nothing bad in acquiring the power and ability to put the Sharia of Allah in place. So for that you need to work. It's hard, it's not easy. You may not be able to do it right away, but one has to have this feeling. One has to, as it is mentioned, that the weakest thing is that you feel bad about it. Then you talk about it, and then you actually remove it. So if you don't have the power to remove it, if you're still feeling bad in your heart, you need to get to that power, whether it be through politics, whether it be through your position of authority and all that. It has to be done. So this spirit should be present in the Ummah. Many scholars take it as being knowledgeable, not necessarily seeing it. So now we are coming to the specifics of this matter, that scholars say that it is not necessarily that you personally know about something, but if you know from the circumstantial evidence or from the people who are trustworthy that some evil is happening, so you need to act as the commands of this hadith tell you to act upon. At the same time, no unwarranted suspicion or spying on others is allowed. So you are not supposed to look into the houses of the people or look into the private lives of the people to find some evil. It is not the attitude of the Muslims. If the evil is committed openly and you know about it through your knowledge or through the knowledge of trustworthy people, then you act upon it. But don't be suspicious. Remember the commands that are present in the instructions that are present in Quran about this thing, particularly in Surah Al-Hujurat. You will see that tajassus, or trying to find something bad in someone, it is not allowed. And even there is a hadith, just this hadith from Al-Bukhari, la tajassusu, don't do tajassus, don't be suspicious, don't be spying on people. The definition of munkar and its opposite maruf. So we need to understand what is munkar. That's how we will know that this is munkar and we need to remove it, eradicate it. Anything that is rejected or objectionable from the Sharia or rational point of view is considered as evil. But Sharia is first. For example, if there is a situation where Sharia allows something and it doesn't declare a particular act as evil, but due to some social norms, that particular nation or that particular society does not like it, it does not make that thing evil, because Sharia has allowed. So Sharia is first, then the rational thinking comes afterwards. And actually Sharia is nothing but all rational. It is not equivalent to masiyah, which is sin or acts of disobedience to Allah. It is more general. For example, even if a child, for example, if he's trying to drink alcohol, you will stop him. Although he may not, it may not be a punishable offense from his side because he's a minor, and he may not get any sin because of his age, but you still will stop him. So it's more general sense. It is not masiyah or sin. Maruf is every act of obedience to Allah and has sense in its meaning that the people like it and can have no objection to it. Generally, maruf is acceptable good in the society. And again, Sharia comes first. If the Sharia declares something maruf and the society says no, it is bad thing, then it will not become bad. It will still be maruf, it will still be good. Although not mentioned in this hadith, but in a way it applies to it, that not performing obligatory deed is a masiyah, in a way, a sin and an evil. So if you encourage someone or work towards it, that someone who is not doing an obligatory act, and you encourage him to do that, that is also comes under the ambit of this hadith. Who are the addressees of this command? all Muslims. The word whoever of you tells you that all Muslims from top to bottom, but the authority, the type of authority one has, the obligation, the strength of obligation will be more on such people who has authority and power. For example, the top people with authority and power who are they? The rulers, the administrators, and the ulama or scholars. Why? Because the rulers of scholars, rulers or even scholars, they can make the laws, they can enact the laws, the rulers can even punish the people for committing evil. The normal people don't do it. It is through the government, through the administration. So the rulers are more responsible for implementing this hadith. Their authority make them more responsible. Same like is with ulama or scholars, because people respect their opinion. People respect and take it what is coming from a scholar's mouth. So it is more of an obligation on a scholar to tell the people to declare what is evil and raise his voice against that. That is more of an obligation on a scholar than a common person. If these two groups go bad, then the whole society gets destroyed because of their behavior, if it is not proper towards evil. The address of the Prophet ﷺ is for everyone in authority, and its severity and application increase with the level of authority. Kullukum rayun wa kullukum mas'ul. Every one of us have some authority, right? Some of us have authority over our children in our house. A boss in a company has authority on the employees of that company, and administrator of a town has authority in his domain in this city or town. So the level of authority, all of us have some authority. So we will be asked about what we did according to the authority that was available to us. Did we remove the evil as per authority that is available to us? So that is very important, that the position of a person defines the strength of the command for him. Does this command extends to evildoers? That's another important thing to understand, and there is some confusion in that we need to be very clear about. That even the evildoers, it is not so that if somebody is committing one sin, he should not stop the others from doing even the same sin. Although we can understand the effect will not be that much, but that does not absolve him from this command that he should remove the evil, even if he is doing that. So one does not have to be completely pious and free of sins to do nahi anil munkar, or forbidding evil. One doesn't have to be completely pious. All of us have some problems in us, but that doesn't mean that we should stop from eradicating or stopping the evil. Some people get confused by the verse of the Quran in which it says, أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. This is an ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah in which Allah is, the people get confused because it says that you order the people to do bir, yani good things, but you forget yourself, and you are reciting the book. Don't you take the wisdom? So it's an approximate translation I'm doing. So people think that this ayah is stopping someone or us from, if we are doing some evil, we are not clean ourselves, so we cannot do, or we cannot stop anybody of doing evil. That's not the case. Actually, Allah is not condemning him for not applying the command of eradicating the evil. It is the lack of understanding of the fiqh of Amr bil Maruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. Based on this fiqh of Amr bil Maruf and Nahi Anil Munkar, there are 4 obligations to the Muslims in this respect. And I'll read these 4 to you. He must order himself to do good. The second, he must prevent himself from doing evil. Number 3, he must order others to do good. Number 4 is he must prevent others from doing evil. So these 4 are mutually exclusive. One doesn't have if one is not performing one of them, it does not mean that he should not perform the other 3. So they are mutually exclusive. Whatever one can perform, he should perform. So these mutually independent obligations and must not be mixed together. For example, if a person is not honest, should he not stop someone from killing an innocent person and say, I am not honest, so I do not have right to defend an innocent person? I don't think anybody will agree to this argument. So even if he is a liar, even he's a bad sinner, but if he has a chance to stop an evil, he should do it. Or someone who drinks alcohol should not stop his son from drinking alcohol. Will anybody agree to it? I don't think so. So this is, as I said, these are mutually exclusive points for all 4 of them. Then what about the verse quoted above? That means the one that we just recited, that you are ordering the others and you don't care about yourself. What it is talking about? Actually, Allah is not condemning the person for ordering others to do good, but blaming the person for not doing it for himself. So he's blaming him for one part of those 4, but he's not condemning him for doing something good. I mean, stopping the people from evil. He should continue to do that. Simply, if one is not performing one obligation, does not mean that he should leave the other obligations as well. Because I don't pray, I will not fast. Because for example, I don't fast, so I will not pay zakat. So these are not the things. One should do whatever he can do. Similarly, the evil, with respect to evil, if one can stop, he should do it. And don't worry about what he's doing or himself or not. Then he must change it with his hand. This is the other important part of the hadith. It is a command and a communal obligation. A communal obligation is that if a person or a group of people, if they perform it, then it is done for the whole community. But if no one does it, although they have the ability to do that, then everyone is sinful. So that is the essence of this argument, that it is a communal obligation. Note, this hadith is talking about changing the evil, not forbidding. Means one is witnessing the evil. Forbidding is more general, and it is like a preventive action. So before the evil even happens, you start planning for that. You start how I can stop it, and you do something to stop it, not let it occur. This is forbidding evil. But to remove, this hadith is talking about, it is in front of you, it is happening. So you have no choice but to remove it. And we will see how and what are the conditions that are required for you to do it. What it means, changing by hand, is actually physically stopping. Changing by hand means physically you have the power, you stop it. You don't, be shy and just feel bad in your heart and, maybe say something. You have the power to stop it. You have the authority to do it. You stop the evil right there. So if it is happening in front of your eyes. Like someone openly consumes alcohol in an Islamic society, or for example, spreads pornography and things like that. So we have to take an action and stop it if we have the ability. And again, we will see the conditions and how we should act. So actually, let's go to the conditions. Let me read something for you about the condition for changing the evil. Okay, like all such noble deeds, the person must change the evil solely for the sake of Allah. This is the first condition. It is not that you don't like it for some of personal reason or something. No, you have to have this feeling in your heart that you are doing eradication of evil, removing of evil for the sake of Allah. Second, he must follow the Sharia principles when changing an evil, in the sense that he cannot remove one evil by bringing about a greater evil. So this is one of the points, that one has to be keep in mind. First, he must study the situation to ascertain whether or not his action will lead to greater harm. If it does, then one should not even act on it and let it happen even. Number 3, he must make sure that the evil is in fact present and is in reality an evil. So one has to have the knowledge to ascertain that something is evil. Without doing that, just without knowledge, trying to remove something, thinking that it might be evil or without knowledge is not correct. He must not go beyond what is permissible for him in the Sharia. He must stop at what is necessary to stop the evil. For example, if a person is playing a cassette tape with music on it, he may remove the tape and destroy. I will stop that. I have to read that. Number 4, he must not go beyond what is permissible for him in the Sharia. He must stop at what is necessary to stop the evil. So these are a few conditions. Number 5, he should personally remove the evil if he has the ability or right to do so. If not, he should assist someone who is capable of doing that. So if you can't do that and someone else has the power, then either inform him or get his support or support him to remove the evil. So these are few conditions for changing the evil. We will go into some more details because this is very important to understand. Now, if he is not able to do so, that is the second tier, that from the removing by hand, Prophet ﷺ is not now coming to a weaker position of a Muslim where he cannot do it by hand. Then physical capability and capability based on knowledge. These are the two things. Remember, we said that if you don't have the capability, don't act on it, don't mess up the things. And also, if you don't have the knowledge about that thing that can ascertain that it's an evil, then you don't do it either. So based on that, we will see some of the points here. The command to change an evil by one's hand is conditional by one having the ability to do so, as we said. If one is not able to do so, then he does not try to change the evil by his hand, but he moves to the next level of changing the evil by his tongue. It is therefore important to understand what is meant by inability to change an evil. That is very important, because if you don't understand, you will feel unable even if you have the power to do that. So it should be very clear that what it means by inability to do that, so that you can stay away and go to the next level and just say by tongue. So in this respect, we will see 8 different cases. So just be careful and see what is little subtleties and differences between them, and where we should apply this command and where we should not apply. So out of these 8, we will see where we can apply and where we cannot. The person believes, this is the first case, the person believes he can change the evil with his hand, and he fears no harm for himself, but changing the evil will lead to greater evil. So in that case, you should not act on it. You have the capability to do that, but if you do that, there will be a greater evil. For example, you are in a country where alcohol is permissible, and you go into a bar and start stopping the people and throwing the alcohol around. You will be first, the administration of the bar will come and get you, and they will call the police, and you will be in the trouble. And in the end, there will be a bigger evil, and that particular evil will continue to exist. So you don't act in that situation when you have the power to do that, but it can lead to another greater evil. The person can stop the evil. This is the second case. The person can stop the evil with his hand, with no fear of harm, but believing that it would result in an equivalent evil. Even if the evil is equivalent, you should not try to remove the evil which is going on. Let it go. It's only when the benefit overweighs the loss or the negative that may come out of it. The third situation is the person does not have the knowledge to recognize what is truly an evil. That is also an incapability. So one does not have the knowledge, as I said, that if you don't have, you cannot recognize, you may end up calling something evil which is not, or you may call something which is not evil an evil. So that is not allowed. You should not act to remove that. The fourth case is the person can remove the evil without any resultant evil, and the only harm that he fears is verbal abuse. Now, that question of incapability comes into play, that many people cannot take the abuse. There's different level of, I should say, sabr or patience with people. So one can easily be flared up if he is abused, and he would start saying the same things, and he get into a conflict. So if one feels, and one is the judge of himself, that what capability he has to control it, so even if somebody will abuse, and in that case, if he is capable of being composed, I should say, then he should do it by his tongue. But if he is not, then he should not, and avoid a situation where you will end up with a worse situation. Number 5, the person has the physical ability to act, but he believes he will not be able to remove the evil, and he expects he will be harmed if he tries to do so. So in that case, one should not do it. As I said in the beginning, Allah is merciful. He is not putting you in a situation, asking you to do something that you cannot. Case number 6 is the person can stop or lessen the evil, and he fears no harm or resultant evil. So this is the perfect situation that one has to act to remove the evil. He doesn't even have to go to the second tier. He can remove it, he should remove it without any fear of harm, and the result is expected to be good. The person believes, this is 7th case, the person believes that he is not going to be able to stop or lessen the evil, and he also fears no harm if he does act to stop the evil. So it's a little tricky situation, that he's going to be able to stop or lessen the evil. He's not going to stop or lessen the evil. Should he still do it? There's different opinions about it, but the more stronger is that according to Al-Ghazali, it is still preferred for him to speak or act in order to show the teachings of Islam and remind the people of their religion. So even if there is no chance that he will be able to remove the evil, he will still act, because it will show a lesson for the others to understand, at least for the future, that they understand what is going on, and they should act accordingly. The 8th case is the person believes he can remove or lessen the evil, but he knows that harm will come to him. Now again, that same thing, that's an incapability. We need to define. There are some things that you have to think about yourself, how much power you have, how much sabr or patience you have, and how much you can tolerate. If some abuse happened to you, if even physically you are abused, if you are harmed, you are expected to be harmed by the other person who you are trying to stop from doing any evil. This is your Allah knows your heart, and Allah knows your capability. So you cannot fool, you can fool everybody, but it's not possible to do it to Allah. He knows your capability exactly. So analyze your situation. It is on you to decide whether you should act or not, but it has to be very fair. So after studying these 8 cases, we should understand exactly that what is incapability, and where we have to take some decisions to ensure that we are acting according to our capability, and not beyond that, and not less than that. Then the other wording is, then he must change it with his tongue. So if you don't have you analyze that you don't have the capability to stop it by your hand, then you can go to the next tier and you stop it by your tongue. So in that case also there is something that I would like to read for you. One of the most important means of changing an evil is changing it with one's tongue. If one has the capability and right to change something by one's hand, he should do so. However, if one does not have such capability, he should move to the next step. The next step is to use one's speech to influence the doer of evil to stop the evil. One of the most important means of changing an evil is changing it with one's tongue. So not only by hand, but changing it by tongue is also very important. And in many cases, in most of the cases I should say, we apply this. What can include the direct method. That means if something bad is happening, you can scream for help and you can call the authorities to stop it. That's a way of reporting some evil to the people in power and screaming for it. This is the direct method. And according to Al-Masud, there are certain steps that one should follow in eradicating the evil by one's speech. So that is, even within the speech, there are some steps that one should follow. Because the goal is to change and rectify one's behavior, one is not trying to harm anybody, but the goal is to change the evil, to remove the evil, not to harm someone. So the steps are, one should make the person realize that he is committing an evil. And it depends on the situation. This can be done directly or indirectly. The person should continue to try to persuade the sinner kindly until he accepts the advice. In this approach, if this approach is effective, there's no need to move to the other step. That means you go and just use your power to remove it. If it is effective, you don't need to go to any other step. The second step, if this approach is effective, no need to move to any other approach. But if it is not working, you are trying to get the person realize that he is doing evil. If it is not working, then you go to the next level and you can even warn or advise him about and make him fearful of Allah, and also about the legal consequences and things like that to stop him. So it is like warning him. Then the third step, if other steps are ineffective, is to use harsh speech even. So you can even get harsher. So step by step you increase the strength of your argument, and you do not only the argument, even your tone can increase. So you start with very gentle way and then gradually go. And everything, the gradual approach is preferable. It works and it is more effective rather than just jumping onto the final step and doing it right away. The last step, when all else has failed, would be to threaten him. Now moving to the next part, and if speech or tongue fails to cause change, then move on to removing it with the heart. That is what Prophet ﷺ said, that is the weakest situation of Iman of a person, of faith of a person. So it is not possible for a Muslim to be satisfied in his heart, at least if some evil is being committed around him and he is witnessing it. He doesn't have the power, okay, he can move to the next step. He can stop it by tongue. Even if he doesn't have the power to say something by tongue, it is obligatory on every Muslim to feel bad about it. And not only feel bad about it, as I said in the beginning, try to get to that position. Try to get that power and authority. Help the people who are trying to get that power and authority to change the evil. That is important. Some people think that it is possible through the political means. Help them. Some people think that it is through the preaching. Then help them. All these approaches, but one has to move towards getting to that position where evil will be eradicate it. So it starts with feeling bad about evil. There is no excuse for not doing that. Being pleased with an evil, the heart is dead. Such hearts are dead who are pleased with the evil. Every Muslim must realize that evil are displeasing to Allah and thus hate everything that is displeasing to the Lord. If a person sees an evil around him and does not have much feeling or hatred in his heart, this is a sign that his heart is diseased. Now, the relationship between faith and eradicating evil also, it is related. So if as in the end, Prophet said the minimum faith is in the for the person who feels it in the heart, and there is a direct relation, because you believe that if I act against the evil, you don't fear anybody except Allah. So you are away from any even slightest type of shirk, that you think of someone more powerful than Allah, so you stop. No, you are well aware of His power, so that is Iman in you, and you do it for the sake of Allah and remove that evil. Lastly, the negative consequences of not repelling the evil. And we know that in Quran it is repeated again and again, and in Surah Baqarah and Surah Al-Ma'idah, where Allah is talking about Bani Israel, and they say that they used to, in fact I should just read that ayah to you. That would be a good ending to the hadith. Before we just conclude, we will summarize. But this ayah is that those among the tribes of Israel who disbelieved were cursed by the tongue of David and Jesus, son of Mary. That was because they disobeyed and were ever transgressing beyond bounds. They used not to forbid one another from the wrong which they committed, while indeed was what they used to do. This Surah Al-Ma'idah. And another ayah from Surah Ali Imran, actually, Ali Imran 104 and 105, and fear the affliction and trial which affects not in particular only those of you who do wrong, and know that Allah is severe in punishment. So not only who do wrong, but who don't stop them from doing wrong. This is actually Surah Al-Anfal. It is narrated that the companion Ibn Abbas explained this verse by saying that Allah has ordered the believers not to accept any evil in their presence without working to remove it. Otherwise, Allah will afflict them with a general punishment. This is from Ibn Kathir. And as I said, in the end, let's just conclude it by saying that a believer is a protector and close friend to his fellow believers. He will not be happy to see them hurting themselves. So he will work to change the situation. He realizes it is his responsibility to do what he can to keep them from wrong acts that they are doing. And secondly, when Muslims stop ordering good and eradicating evil when they have the ability to do so, it is a sign that they have lost the true brotherhood of Islam, that they do not care if their brothers goes to paradise or hell. So they lost this very important characteristic of a Muslim, that is, they always think good about their brothers. If there is anything that they can do, they do it. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين والمؤمنات. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.